What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, your home for comic books, movies, TV shows, and of course, we typically feature a beer of the week. Star Wars month continues on with episode 217, where today we're going to talk about our top 5 favorite Star Wars characters and also our top 5 most overrated Star Wars characters. Now, first things first, if this is your first time on the show, we talk about what we've messed up on previous episodes. We love it if you call us out. We call ourselves out. Stay humble, right? And then also we talk about what we've been reading, watching, some news, and then our main topic. So, of course, like I mentioned today, it's more Star Wars focused, as May is a Star Wars month for us, as you can see with my Roosevelt's Star Wars shirt here. It's a Christmas shirt, but no one cares, right? As always, like, subscribe, share on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. Leave a review. That's how the podcast can grow. And if you want, patreon.com/hopsgeeknews is how you can help support the show. My beer of the day is Easy Operator. It's an IPA coming in at 6.2% from Deciduous Brewing out of Newmarket, New Hampshire. Wicked good brewery. Really nice, delicious, hazy IPA. Got a lot of good color, juiciness to it. I chose this because Easy Operator, man, it makes me think of Star Wars and pilots. Star Wars flying is, unless you're Obi-Wan, who hates to fly, Star Wars loves pilots. And I feel like, just felt
some
right.
of the best characters hate flying. You have Dean Winchester, Wolverine.
That's true.
That's all I can think of, but those are my 2 favorite all-time fictional characters. So there you go.
That's true. That's true. What are you drinking over there?
So first, you're wearing a Christmas shirt in May?
Well, it's like it's a Star Wars, but Christmas and Star Wars are synonymous because it's not like, I guess it does have Christmas trees and it has, Luke and Leia like Nutcracker dolls and stormtroopers and presents. I don't know. It was red. I was feeling red today. This isn't one I've really worn on the show. I've got my Padme Amidala shirt on because, well, you'll find out later if I rank her or not.
Oh, okay.
You'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you're like my kids. I have to hide the holiday clothes for my kids, so they're all under my bed or up in the closet because otherwise they'll start wearing Halloween shirts in March and just.
We can have Halloween on Christmas, and in this night, we wish it never ends.
Hey, we wear Nightmare from middle of September to the first week in January.
Now, I know that you saw they're already talking Oogie Boogie Bash and all that at Disneyland and dropping out their Halloween attire. So it's only May, but Disney's already thinking ahead.
Oh, Brielle got a pair of Halloween Disney Crocs. She showed you, actually.
I know, those were amazing.
FaceTime with you, and she wore them to school the other day. I'm like, it is May, so
that's
whatever. Who am I to judge? I like to keep the Christmas stuff only at Christmas because I feel like it makes it more special, but that shirt sounds like a pretty awesome shirt. I have my Ahsoka shirt on that says I am no Jedi, also a hint to what may be to come.
I want that Roosevelt's Ahsoka pullover performance hoodie so freaking bad, and it has been sold out. It's been sold out. I haven't been able to get it. I should have jumped on it immediately. Their performance hoodies are like my favorite thing to wear. It's lightweight, very soft. I like to work out in them. I like to lounge in them. And you know me, I wear hoodies. I don't care if it's 90 degrees outside. So it's never a bad hoodie. I am hoodie and shorts, man. I will live in that outfit.
That's Brielle. I went to go get her haircut yesterday. I'm like, my car literally said it was 100 today and you're wearing sweatpants. Okay, let's go. So my beer, this one is actually from Ian, who's been on the show in the past. He was on one of our original Supernatural shows before Matt even watched Supernatural. It is called the Tangelorian. It is a tangerine sour. It is 5% from Frothy Beard. This is actually a brewery I don't think I've had before. You can see if you're watching, I will definitely post a picture of this as you can see the Mandalorian on it. And I have it in my Grogu glass from Glass to Mouth. That says this is the way.
Yes.
It is exactly what you would imagine a tangerine sour tastes like. I almost feel like it needs a dollop of like vanilla ice cream to like soothe the sourness. I wish I had another one, right? And I would do that. But it's yummy. It's with the sours I can only do one. They're not my favorite, but I enjoy them on occasion. And how could I not pass up this amazing can? I've been saving this can for a little bit for this month.
I actually have a sour from Tripping Animals. It's like a Hellhound one from them that I've been kind of saving for a Supernatural episode myself. It's wicked. I know
which one you're talking about. I might be able to get it. So I had another sour this weekend at Tactical, and I'll end up drinking that at some point this month. It's the Tactical. It's Untapped, and it's green this year, and it tastes like sour apple candy. I don't like it as much as I have in the past. It was more like an apple cobbler kind of thing with like vanilla, and I think it still is, but I guess it's like green apple. I mean, it is like bright green, but that's what I got. That's what I'm drinking.
Well, excellent. Let's roll into what we've been reading or watching. I have done some comic book reviews for nerdinitiative.com, where each and every week you can find us dropping our reviews. Dark Horse loves Lauren to death because her reviews are awesome. But I did Blood Brothers Mother #1. That came from Distillery Media, written by Brian Azzarello. Really good. Like I said, Westerns are back. Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips kind of ushered in Westerns again with the Enfield Gang Massacre. And now this one, completely different, no relation. However, there is a guy who just got out of a Mexican jail. He was there for 5 years trying to find his wife. He finds him. And this is kind of a precursor to a larger story that's about to get told. Very bloody, very graphic, very, very good. I cannot wait to see where this one goes. Check it out from Distillery Media. And then I read Boy Wonder issue number 1 from DC. This kind of is told in the third person from somebody who is kidnapped by a robber gone wrong, and they're telling the story of Damian Wayne, and really excellent, excellent comic book. I thought was really, really well done. It was very much kind of like one of those bedtime stories in a way that I thought it was really well drawn. The names I can't even begin to pronounce because they are so hard. I'm sorry. I will make sure it's in the show notes though to give them the due credit as they justly deserve. And then I did Armory Wars, which was written by Claudio from Coheed and Cambria. This is Boom Studios and a whole bunch of other really great Italian creators that I can't even begin to pronounce their names either. Again, I'll have to write that out because this is a pretty fun comic. And it's kind of what I've been reading this week. I am an old man and watched Deal or No Deal Island, which now I'm considering applying for the show like the old man that I am. I don't know why.
I don't know how many old men would apply to be on it.
I mean, Boston Rob is on it. He's in his like 50s now, but it's not like
that's not that old. The older I get, the younger people seem.
Yeah, I don't know. I did watch Supernatural. I am midway through season 11. I did watch the episode Baby where they're in the car. Honestly, I thought the episode with the imaginary friend was better than that one, but that's a conversation for a different episode.
I think when you're all done, we need to have an underrated and overrated, because Baby, I feel like, is properly rated. I think it's fantastic and it should be in a lot of people's top 10s, especially when you go back and rewatch it, because it's rare that you get to see the boys genuinely having fun. It's like you got to see the downtime, which was really cool. And the fact that they gave the car its own episode.
Yeah.
But the imaginary friend one is so underrated. It's not talked about enough.
It was so funny. Good and fun. Yeah, funny, but also like depressing at the same time.
Right. And sweet, and goes to show they further go into that Dean raising him. Like when the Zana at the end, like, thanks Dean for everything he did for Sam. That's a great episode. It's absolutely fantastic. It's just underrated.
Good. And goofy, yeah, it's really, really good. We did watch Tales of the Empire and X-Men 97, the penultimate episode. However, to get our thoughts on those, you will have to go watch our Cantina Hour, which we already did. We do live, and it's on our YouTube. I have it up on the podcasting feeds, so go ahead, give that and listen, where we talk about Tales of the Empire, all 6 episodes, and we also talk about the latest episode of X-Men 97 as we gear up for the finale already this week. And with that said, that's all I've kind of been reading or watching. Lauren, what have you been getting into?
So outside of what you just mentioned, the comic book I only reviewed one this week. It was Wolverine number 49. That's the Ben Percy run. This is issue 9 of the Sabretooth War. So the next issue is going to be the last one. At the moment, Wolverine has been depowered by Forge's gun. However, he has the adamantium suit and he has the Miramosa blade. So we shall see how this wraps up in the next one. It's been a lot of fun watching all of it, because it's like Wolverine's mourning his son. Sabretooth's son is trying to kill him. And all of this is going on at once. And there was some stuff in this that was fun and unexpected. Like, he's like, oh, this is simulation, this is a memory, but then he remembers it differently, and you see why he's remembering it differently. So I don't want to spoil that, because I thought that was a really cool thing. But that's really all I read this week, which is that Wolverine issue. I did go to New Comic Book Day, so I have.
Oh yeah, I did too.
Bigger and bigger. I got a Star Wars one.
Ooh, did you pick up the free comics from Star Wars or anything else that was Star Wars?
I got the free one from Star Wars, and then they put in my box a Darth Maul one.
Oh, so yeah, the black, white, and red.
Yeah, so I always scan, because they'll add, certain things. And I went to go get Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm like, I bet it's in my box, and it was in my box. So I'm going to read that one as well. So I have a list, and they gave me Spectre, which I think you read, right?
Oh, Spectrograph, yeah, from Distillery, dude. That's James with the fourth and Christian Ward. Oh yeah.
Yes, I think
I talked about that one. Yeah,
bought the Christian Ward Batman ones. They put that in there. I think that.
Man, your comic shop is awesome. Epic Comics in Orlando. Everybody.
Well, they know how to get me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. Go check them out.
Yeah, they're a tiny little comic book shop. They're fantastic though. They do events for Halloween, and if you follow us on Instagram, I share them pretty regularly. But they're fantastic. I mean, I was reading actually Minor Threats when I was reading the alternates. I messaged them, "Hey, do you guys have the Minor Threats?" And they're like, "Yep, just put it in your box." It's like perfect.
They're awesome.
And
They're
I
great.
messaged them on Instagram, and they were, right away, were on top of it. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, they're so I'm looking forward to reading all of those. But I only reviewed the one comic this week, so that's what I got.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there's
Oh, I finished Dead Boys Detective.
Oh, did you? What do you think of it?
I really liked it, and you answered my question properly. They've finished it like they could be done, but it could be left open. I
Yeah.
liked the ending. I felt like there was closure, and yeah, and I feel like I want more at the same time. So I highly recommend watching it, whether they continue or not. And I feel like more season 1 shows need to kind of do that.
I'm just worried because it's Netflix. That's the only reason why I'm very worried about getting any more of this. Because you're right, they did wrap it up, but the door is open. And I thought like the characters were great. I thought the dynamic between the two of them were absolutely great, man. Like they really did well together. I thought I
Right. And the
want more of this.
backstory of them, I
Yeah.
thought was very sweet.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It was
yeah, I
tragic
liked it.
too, especially, my
Mhm.
man's was stuck in hell. Like that
Right.
sad and everything. And they both died very young. Like he froze to death, and that was really sad at the same time.
You have hypothermia. I mean, and it's gonna be tragic because it's 2 dead boys.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way you're really gonna have a non-tragic. I mean, I will say that one of the deaths is due to being sacrificed to a demon, which was kind of funny, but
And he apologizes. "I'm so sorry."
yeah, that was
I mean,
that was
obviously, there's a
good.
lot of overlays with Supernatural too. I mean, I even saw Gabriel from Supernatural directed one of the episodes. Said directed by Richard
Mhm.
Straight Jr. Obviously, Rowena's in it. So there's a lot of Supernatural nods to Supernatural in general. In the actual show, there's definitely a lot of the same people working on it.
I feel like it could have easily tied into the supernatural like universe if they wanted to, but
But
you
no,
know,
well, I mean,
I
that's a
mean,
conversation for
kinda, yeah.
when you're done with the show.
All right. All right. Well, that's all we have. So let's go into some news and notes that we have. First things first, Skeleton Crew is set to release around Christmas time 2024. And they do something with this season. They brought back some stop motion, which is going to be pretty exciting. I'm excited to see how that plays into it. Skeleton Crew, Jude Law's in it, kind of this band of kids along with Jude Law that are, we don't really know if they're bounty hunters or really what they are yet, but that's coming out soon. Ahmed Best will voice Darth Jar Jar in a new Lego Star Wars special coming to Disney Plus on September
That's so
13th.
funny.
I love it because you see it and they're like, Misa gonna make you hurts real bad. And he's like, Darth Jar Jar? And it's them saving the galaxy. Dude, I am here for the meta jokes like all day long.
Well, yeah, and the Lego movies are fantastic at that.
Oh,
Breaking
yeah.
the fourth wall and everything, yeah.
They really are. And then my last little bit of news is that Marvel will produce 3 movies a year and 2 TV shows a year. They're going down. And also, there's a bit of breaking news tonight. There are talks going on between Warner Brothers and Discovery and Disney about merging HBO Max and Disney Plus in like some
What
sort of
the hell?
streaming app.
Okay, at what
Uh,
point are we gonna get a freaking, like, monopoly, like
oh, we're going back to cable in like a streaming way. It's a matter of time because if those two merge, first of all, I'm interested to see, is it going to be like $30 a month or like it's going to start probably like $20 a month and then watch it's going to casually go up and up and up or
and at
something
what point
outrageous.
like, so many things are on Netflix that are HBO. Like, Netflix has got Sex in the City right now, like, they're getting a bunch of the WBDC movies,
Well,
and, like, for
Warner's had to
Disney to
shop off
then
some of their properties to
no.
Netflix because they're broke.
Oh my gosh, they can't I feel like you can't have the DC movies and the Marvel movies owned by the same person. Well, okay,
Listen,
whatever.
if it's
Okay.
cheaper on my
I'm not I
wallet
was gonna say,
and
I'm
you
not
give
their
me one
lawyer.
central way to watch all of this stuff, fine. It's a matter of time, I guess, anyways. But I mean, I'm kind of with you though. Like, how are they doing that? I don't know. I don't really get it.
Can
It's
we just get a website that tells us where to watch things the
yeah,
cheapest?
I know.
Because 'Cause I'm sick and tired of too of thinking, like, I never got to finish American Gods because I literally couldn't find season 2 and 3. I could only
Oh
find
yeah.
season 1 after I read the damn book. I wanted to watch the rest of it.
Nope.
I need to check again. I
Plex.
haven't checked in a couple months.
I don't know.
Okay, so what news do I have? The Marvel 3 movies and 2 TV shows a year. I think that's perfect.
I think
Like,
so
this
too.
year, we're only getting, like, 1 movie, and, like, I feel like that's not enough. Like, I'm like, outside of X-Men, I feel, we have nothing MCU right now. So I
Give
think
me a
that sounds perfect.
spring movie, summer movie, and a winter movie, and then in between you can do a TV show like if you well, I guess they're gonna
I like
want to
when they
hit.
have them at Christmas. I really liked Hawkeye at Christmas.
I do too. I do. There's something special about that. So if you did, or even Halloween, man, I liked that
Yeah.
Werewolf by Night special they
Yes.
did. I would like
That
to
was
get
so
more of
fun.
that,
Guardian
but
special.
yeah, it was wholesome too. The Guardian special, especially with their Christmas, like those songs have fit into my rotation for Christmas music
Oh,
now.
100%. I don't know why they weren't on the ride. They used Run Run Rocket instead. And then this year they did nothing because people were complaining about Run Run
Oh
Rocket.
my gosh.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, this was probably the first year other than 2020, and I don't know that this is true. I'm just thinking of past memories that in May we didn't have a new MCU movie since 2008,
Interesting.
other than 2020. But okay, so some news from the ashes. We keep hearing about these new comic books. We're getting a new Wolverine comic coming September 2024. That will be by Saladin Ahmed and Martin Cocolo. So that I mean anything Wolverine, I'm on board for. So I will definitely be reading that. Gen V did put out a statement. They decided that
Mm,
after losing Chance Perdomo, they do not intend to recast him, and they will be figuring out how to move forward. And production will resume this month, but they are going to do their best to honor Chance and his legacy. So
I mean, good, honestly. Like, I
yeah,
think that's a good way to go about it because it was tragic what happened to him. I mean, I liked him in Sabrina. I thought he was a pretty good actor, and then Gen V was pretty good in it. And he was a very big. I'm interested to see how they do
really
because he
good.
played a really pivotal role in that
Hmm.
show. So that's going to be
Yeah,
interesting.
but I feel like obviously they recast in the MCU for General Ross, but that was still very sad. But that was somebody who was older, and like this kid was only 27.
Yeah,
So,
agreed. It'd be interesting.
okay, some other news I have: Michelle Yeoh will star in Blade Runner 2099 in a lead role. I didn't even know we were getting another Blade Runner.
Yeah, I'm I'm lukewarm on the franchise. I mean, like, I don't mind Blade Runner. I'm not a big Blade Runner fan, but I did see the last movies and it was good with Ryan Gosling, who's like my favorite actor of all time now.
I think I've only seen the original.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. It's a long movie, man. We took my father a lot of that one because that was like the only time we've ever been in the movies with him, and the only time he's like ever gone in the movies with us or in general. But
And then my last piece of news: Christopher Lloyd and Haley Joel Osment will be in Wednesday season 2. Wow, Christopher Lloyd's really trying to get as much done as he can.
how is Christopher Lloyd still acting? Because I swear to God, in 2016, I say this every time we mention him. That dude was like struggling to remember where and who he was on that stage. I'm
I don't know. I mean,
very
they were just at
impressed.
MegaCon and everything.
Yeah, I'm very impressed that he's still out there putting in work because, man, I thought for sure, like, and not in a dark way. He was struggling, and good for him. And I'm Haley Joel Osment. Give me more of him.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I
like
really liked him
I'm
in The
down.
Boys, actually.
Yeah, so I'm down for that. But that's
That's
all
all I
the
got
news
for you.
we kind of have. Let's go into our 5 favorite Star Wars characters and 5 most overrated Star Wars characters. We will see you in a hyper second, my friends. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Like I said, we're talking our 5 most overrated Star Wars characters, our 5 most loved Star Wars characters. I don't want to say overrated because I don't really feel like there's too many. I mean, there's
I
probably a
kind
lot
of
of
went with my least favorite.
well, I meant underrated. Sorry, I didn't want to go. We say loved because I don't want to go with underrated because I feel like underrated is very different. Like we definitely have a top 5 favorite characters, and then we definitely have 5 characters that I'm very cool of just not seeing them for a while. So why don't we kick things off on a positive note, though, because there's enough non-positive things in the world, and let's talk about our first beloved Star Wars character. So, Lauren, why don't you start us off with your first beloved Star Wars character?
Okay, so I'm going 5-1, and I do have an honorable mention.
Ooh,
So my first that I think is very underrated is Kual. So he's the little guy. If that name doesn't sound familiar, he is the I'm
yeah.
Outspoken guy. This was actually I have the little toy. It was a gift from my daughter, and which is funny, and I'll mention that at the end. I know I've said it on the podcast before, but if you're new here, you don't remember. So we meet Kual in The Mandalorian. And he was an Ugnaught, and he worked for the Galactic Empire, but he was an indentured servant.
Your
He
new
eventually becomes
empire.
free and becomes a moisture farmer. He helps Mando find the asset, which turns out to be Grogu, and then he helps him get his stuff back from the Jawas. So look how much the impact he has actually had on the universe when everybody just kind of dismisses this poor little guy. However, to do this, he had to get the Mudhorn egg. So the Jawas wanted the Mudhorn egg, and Mando had to get that, and that's how he ended up with the Mudhorn sigil on his shoulder. So look at that. Qual even helped us get the Mudhorn sigil. Din Djarin later came back and asked for help again, this time on Nevarro. And Qual was actually watching over Grogu when some stormtroopers came up, stole Grogu, and killed him. Din did give him a proper burial. And even in death, Qual helps Mando because in season 3, when Bo and him are on Plazier 15, which is a planet that Jack Black and Lizzo kind of run, and all the crazy droids are going crazy,
Oh
they
yeah,
meet some Ugnaught workers, and they were doing the reprogramming of the droids. And Mando says, quote, "I am Mandalorian Din Djarin, friend of Ugnaught Qual. You will answer our questions and help us with our task. I have spoken." End quote.
Mando's loyal, dude. Like that's one thing about Mando. Like if I had to give an honorable mention, it's gonna be to Mando because of how loyal and sticking to his guns he is, and how good person he is. Like he's just badass. Like he's out there. He decided just to help the Mandalorians. You know, with Bo-Katan, he doesn't want the dark saber. He sticks with Grogu.
Jon Snow. I don't want it.
Yeah. He's a very loyal guy. So I like that one.
Yes. So the "I have spoken" thing, though, like I love that saying because it's like anytime Mando tried to argue with him, he's like, "I have spoken," and it's so succinct. It's so matter of fact. It's I said what I had said. I have nothing else to say to you. There's nothing you're going to change my mind. These are the facts. And so that has become a phrase in my parenting. When my kids argue with me, I go, "I have spoken," and Brielle gets so mad. But then she got me the Qual for my birthday, so that's I thought that was funny. So who's your number 5?
Ooh, my number 5, man. I'm actually going to start off with one from the sequel trilogy, which might surprise people if you know me, because you know how I feel about those. However, there is one person I feel
Finn.
deserves it. It is Finn. Yes. Look at that.
Nice. That's a
It
good
is.
one.
I chose him because, right from the get go, dude, he shows his humanity. He's a stormtrooper. He kind of, gets away. Sure, he worked on a trash compactor, but he doesn't have to join into this whole adventure with Ray and them. He's a very loyal friend. Honestly, he got so done dirty in the sequel trilogy because as it comes out, he's force sensitive as well. I thought he stood up to Kylo Ren once Ray got taken out in The Force Awakens. Like that's a really
It was the
badass moment. Like,
end of Tales of Empire. I was like, I wonder if that's Finn.
well, they did so he straight up, he picked up the lightsaber in the forest during Force Awakens. He had no
It's
lightsaber
like,
experience, and
that's not how the Force works.
he put up a fight, man. Like he put up a
Mhm.
fight against Kylo. Sure, he gets kind of wrecked, and then Rey takes over and does her thing. And I thought that was a badass moment as well. But Finn was always first to jump right head first into danger. Finn, sure they this whole Rise of Skywalker. It's like I have something to tell you. I have something to tell you. And then JJ's like, yeah, he wanted to tell Rey he was force sensitive, and I'm like, see, a force sensitive runaway stormtrooper, that's like the best plot you could have ran with, and we didn't do it. And I feel like there's so much Finn story to tell. And
And the Empire has to know because they're testing all the kids.
yeah, they were testing the kids as we come to find out. Like they're testing the kids and all. It's Finn was awesome. Like he was straight up
Yeah.
my
I mean,
favorite part of the sequel trilogy, hands down.
they did him good in the Lego Christmas special. I thought
Yeah,
he
but
got more respect in that movie than he did
he
in the
did then
trilogy.
3 movies. Like he's stuck riding horses on a a star destroyer in Exegol. That's what he was reduced to, and his big moment could have came in when he sacrificed himself on Crate, but he didn't. And it just
Oh,
sucks
when
because
Rose stopped him?
yeah, like he could have easily been like this big. He had so many big moments set up, and they just completely whiffed on them. And I feel like I hope, and well, it also sucks because he's never gonna. I mean, I don't want to say never, but he doesn't want to come back to the Star Wars universe because of the way his character. So
But he
I don't know the
needs
role.
to. Look at Jar Jar. I mean, come on. I
I
hope he
know.
does. Look
I
at,
hope he
look
does
at
too.
Anakin. Hell, I hope they bring the little kid Anakin back in some other role. Let him voice
Right.
something. Let him do something. I mean, he doesn't look anything like Anakin, so it's not going to be like, oh, is that Vader? So
Right.
I think I think that would be amazing to have him do like a redemption thing, and I think that
Well, just put him in the new
both of
trilogy
us
and be like,
want
hey,
that.
you're gonna start with Ray, and you guys are both gonna be Jedi, and you're both gonna rebuild the, you
And
know,
maybe not have all the kids. Although if my kids force sensitive, they sure shit ain't going anywhere where they train Jedi.
yeah, no, we're gonna train at home, damn it.
Like, yep, you can just put away the dishes with your force
Yeah.
capabilities.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have to say about Finn. Let's roll into our overrated characters. Why don't you go
Oh, we're
ahead?
gonna go back and forth?
We're gonna go back and forth. So I'll kick
Oh.
us off with the low hanging fruit on this one, man. No surprise here. Boba Fett. I think Boba Fett is the
Ooh.
single most. I don't. He's not the single most. He's my number 5, 5-1, right? I think
Ouch.
he's overrated, and that's low hanging fruit. He appears for like 3 seconds in the original trilogy, and people are like, "Oh my god, he's
Because they
just."
put him in all the freaking
They
Empire
put him,
Strikes Back,
yeah,
like,
but he doesn't do
marketing.
anything. He gets his ass kicked at Jabba's palace and gets thrown into the Sarlacc pit, and then, like, his TV show, like, that's
Boba,
Tamora
where?
Morrison got done dirty because his TV show was shit, like,
I liked it.
it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. I would like to see more from him. As
Yeah.
a kid, I thought, like, Boba was kinda cool as, like, that bounty hunter in Clone Wars and things like that, but everybody's love for Boba Fett's so fake. If you tell me you love Boba, no, you don't. No, you don't.
Or some
No, you
it's a
don't.
mystery, like, who is this guy? Why is he wearing this armor? What's
I
the
don't
background?
care because
But I
there's
felt like
nothing to tell. He's just a bounty hunter with
what
the
about
other
his
cannon
intro
fodder.
in the Christmas special? That's where we first saw him.
Oh
I don't even
God.
remember what it was in that. I just remember it was a cartoon. Um, I like Boba. I wouldn't say he's over or underrated. He's not my favorite. He's not my least favorite. But I really like Tamara Morrison,
Overrated. Boom, 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 boom,
and I
boom.
really would love to see him as somebody that is
Never
on
like
my
that.
top 5 that I'll get to shortly. So speaking of the Christmas special, my number 5 is Chewie's grandpa Itchy because he's just creepy.
He's an overrated character.
He's just so my overrated is also just kind of like annoying. And like you were saying before, like we don't just want to go negative. So some of mine are like, oh, I hated this character so much. And sometimes hating that character, like one of the characters
I'll
on here
allow
I
it.
hated so much, that means they did a good job because I was pretty sure I was supposed to hate his guts. A couple of them actually. So yes,
I
I went
hate
with
your
Chewie's grandpa
stinking guts. You are scum
because
between my toes.
I hate that scene where he's like watching the hologram of like the lady dancing and it's just so gross
He's the
and
creepy dad
creepy.
at like a birthday party, like creeping on the girl. Oh God.
It's
Oh,
just terrible. And there weren't really too many I wanted to say were overrated or I disliked, and I was like, yeah, he definitely rubs me the wrong way.
that's fair. All right. Well, but that's fair. I'll give you that one. Let's go back over. Why don't you go ahead now with number 4 on your beloved list?
So I'm assuming this is on yours too. Ahsoka Tano.
Maybe.
She on yours? Okay.
Maybe.
So she obviously, we meet her in the Clone Wars movie for the first time in 2008, and she's Anakin's Padawan. I feel like at this point she's pretty well known, whether or not you only watch the cartoons or not, because she had her own TV show. She's Rosario Dawson now. Ashley Eckstein voices her. But obviously in the beginning she's an annoying little kid. But she's a child soldier, and she always just holds her own, no matter where she is, no matter who she's with.
She's
And I
brave.
just my favorite, right, my favorite version of her was in Rebels because she's grown up and
Yeah.
she's still in hiding. She's still Fulcrum and all this, but she's very much so just still figuring things out. Whereas I feel like in the show she's almost too sure of herself, like she knows everything. Um, and obviously she's very young in Clone Wars. So after watching everything she's gone through with Anakin, and like she was always right in the whole Jedi thing. Like she actually was responsible and like she didn't run away for a guy or fall in love like Anakin did or like
Yeah.
how we see some of these other characters. So just her emotional intelligence and her intelligence and her force capabilities, and she doesn't have an ego. I think that's a big thing for me is the lack of ego.
All
So
right. Yeah, she's my number 2. Straight up number 2. Spoiler alert. Because of all those reasons you said, and then dude, she is a teenager in the Clone Wars. And the amount of weight put upon her shoulders, like, first of all, she gets framed for murder, and she goes through all that, she clears her name, and then she's like, no, dude, I'm out. But then she still is willing to come back for that loyalty to Anakin. And then what she
mhm.
goes through, her fighting, dude, she is like the most badass warrior there is out there. She takes on Maul and
She
kicks
defeated
Maul's
them
ass.
all.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
defeats Maul. And then the things that she does with Rex and the clone troopers upon the ship, and she, like, she's a part of like my all-time favorite Star Wars episode, which is the finale for the Clone Wars, and just how heartbreaking it is. And to see her and like her connection to Anakin just deepens the entire character of Vader himself, and how tragic she just makes everything more tragic. And yet she's still like this badass woman character who you see in Rebels, and she comes back, and then you see in the Ahsoka series. And yeah, Rosario Dawson kind of plays her like smug and whatnot, but like at this point, she kind of earned it. I mean, she beats Maul. She lived through Rebels. She kind of helps out the kickstart the rebellion. You know, she's doing badass things even now, and she's fighting Thrawn, and just her fighting style is tenacious and badass with the dual sabers.
Mhm.
She's just first to jump into danger. She's just she truly is one of maybe 2 or 3 characters that fully encapsulate what it actually means to be a Jedi,
What it should
and
mean, yeah.
what it should mean. And that's why, yeah, she's my number 2, only because I have somebody else as my number 1 that just I rave about, but easily. My number 4 actually is another female character. It's Padme, man. Padme is my number 4. And the reason is because she is one of the most badass women in Star Wars who doesn't have any powers, but yet her political prowess, her on Naboo in episode 1, she jumps in there to fight against the droids. And
And
then
she's a child.
she's again another child,
Yeah.
and then she was by Anakin's side, but then as soon as Anakin was like talking crazy nonsense, she was like, bro, I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm about to have babies. I'm out. Like, what? And then even her whole story is tragic as well. Like,
Mhm.
depending on the theory, a lot of people like to say that she died in childbirth, but what I think it is Palpatine sucking her life force away to give it to Anakin. That's the one theory I've always loved in Star Wars, and a conspiracy theory I buy into.
It's
But
the
she
only
was
thing that makes sense. You
it
don't give up
does.
all hope the second you meet your babies. Like, no,
No,
she just fell in love with those babies. She's not gonna die of a broken heart. If
no.
she's brokenhearted then, her heart was just mended because your first kid, you fall in love like that. Like,
And especially because if she was still alive, then that means Palpatine doesn't have control over Vader. And so she
yeah,
needed to die.
Vader
And so
or Palpatine was happy when Vader was like, "No," and started
exactly.
twisting
And because his
everything.
pain and his everything. And so like she, as a child, like what she did for the people of Naboo, what she did for the Republic, she was not afraid. She just is so badass to me,
If only she was better at
dude.
reading people like
Yeah.
Palpatine.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So
This
she's my
she
number
knew
4.
she was, yeah, fantastic politician. No, I could definitely see her being in my top 10. But yeah, one more thing about Ahsoka real quick too is, talking about how she's in your favorite scene in Clone Wars. That episode of the flashback with Anakin too, I think is the best TV Star Wars episode we've ever seen in anything.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
don't think Rosario played her smug there because I felt like that was her tapping back into that Clone Wars Rebels Ahsoka of like, Padawan versus master kind of thing. So I just wanted to throw that in there real quick.
Oh, yeah, for
That
sure.
as well. But
Well, let's
yeah.
roll
Oh,
into
oh, and
your
Padme. What about when they're like chained up and Anakin's like, we have to rescue Padme, and Obi-Wan's like, I think she's got it on her own. And she's like already like climbing up. And then that monster just conveniently rips her shirt off to become a midriff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude. Oh my God. I was like, oh,
And she's
13-year-old me
like,
in the theater.
ah!
Oh, nobody has
So
ever
she's
looked. Yeah, she was so
so
badly,
vicious.
but it was so like awful, but 13-year-old me didn't care. I was like, yeah. Anyways, what is your next most overrated, disliked character?
Boss Noss, whatever his name is. He's
Boss
so
Nass.
annoying. Yes. Oh my god, I hate that. So he's the one that leads the Gungans.
Yes.
He's obnoxious, he's mean, he's demeaning, and he
He
does and that
is.
shaking with the slobber everywhere, and
Ooh,
the
you
CGI is not the best.
Misa.
There's a couple scenes in that first movie that I feel like were 100% there to get that 8-year-old to giggle, to get
Oh,
that
yeah.
kid.
It's very childish.
Yeah, and I felt like he was one of them, so a kid would be like, "Ha ha ha ha, that's funny," and they're like,
We're selling
it's
so
not
many Boss Nass
funny.
toys, dude.
Yeah, it's gross, and he's a jerk, and I don't like him.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't really care for him either. Mine might surprise you. This is also from the sequel trilogy, like Finn was, but this is Poe. I don't care
Really?
for Poe Dameron. I think
Okay, I'm gonna pretend it's not Oscar Isaac, and I understand. Go ahead.
I do love Oscar Isaac, so I'm sorry to everybody out there, but like, dude, he's out
He's a
here like
dick.
making your mom jokes while facing down. Like that's so lame. And he's a spice runner. No, we've been there. Like he could have been so much more. I just think his character was poorly written, in my opinion. Like there's a lot of things they could have done with Poe and Finn alike. So it's not anything against Oscar Isaac because it's not his fault. It's more of just the way he was written. Like he just sucked. Like he could have been this generation's Han Solo, and he just wasn't.
Mhm.
It missed the mark to me.
At least he was a better character in a different movie about spice.
That's true. He didn't last very long. So see what happens when you are a better character. You're about spice. You don't last very long. So maybe he had something going for him.
I did not care for it because honestly, when I was thinking about who would be in my bottom 5, like, he was somebody that did cross my mind, and I instantly pushed it away solely because he's Oscar Isaac,
I mean,
and
that's
I
fair.
felt that I still enjoyed the scenes with Oscar Isaac in them and with BB-8, but I very much so disliked the way he talked to Leia and to Laura Dern's character, who I never remember other than
Yeah, I don't remember her name,
Laura Dern.
but the whole like somehow Palpatine returned, like that also just felt like
Someone had to say it.
I mean, he said what we were all thinking.
And now he's
However,
never you realize he's not like, if you could have one line that makes you think of Oscar Isaac, like, that's it, like, he's never gonna live that down.
that's like the most memed thing. Like somehow X and X
And it's
happened.
in
Somehow this happened. Or
every, like, Star Wars explanation
yeah,
video for anything too.
it's bad, dude. It's rough. Yeah, wasn't good. So that's all I really have to say about Poe. Let's go into your number 3. Who is your number 3?
Captain Rex.
Okay, I can see this, but go ahead, elaborate.
So we could do a whole episode on him, and I don't know if we'll get to it this year, maybe next year. But this is a character that he was Anakin's clone trooper. He was in Clone Wars, Rebels. We've seen him in Bad Batch lately. We did get that badass scene in Ahsoka, where I mean,
Yeah,
I think that was my favorite moment of watching all of it, where I was like, "There he is!" And it just looked so good. It was literally like the cartoon coming to life in that scene. That was
yeah,
absolutely fantastic. But he's so amazing, and I love that he gets old and we get old man Rex too, and he's still so lovable and still badass, and then makes jokes about like, "Oh, the suit doesn't fit anymore." And so he was with Ahsoka when Order 66 went down, and he
yeah,
fought as hard as he could. And seeing him fight as hard as he could to save Ahsoka, because he's losing his mind, was amazing. And obviously Ahsoka helped him. He got the chip out and everything. But he's always there when people need him. He's so respectful of Ahsoka, even when she's just a Padawan, and he respects Anakin and Padme's relationship. He knows about it. He's subtle about it. Acts like he doesn't know about it, but obviously he does, because I think there's even times where it's like, "Oh, Padme's over there, let me let y'all talk." And there was a mention in Rebels that he was at the Battle of Endor, so we know that he's still around, in the
I know
Mandalorian
his
time
story's
frame.
not done, man. We have a lot more we could do with him.
Right, and obviously the clone troopers age faster, hence the old man Rex, but, like, I mean, and obviously you don't have to, Star Wars, anytime I'm watching anything Star Wars, I have to remind myself where we are. So, I mean, you could put him anywhere, and Tamara Morrison, I
Good.
mean, he's perfect time to play old man Rex.
He is. He
And I
is.
think one of the things I also love about him is, he truly mourns every brother he loses. Every clone is a brother, and he does mourn that brother. And,
Yeah.
he's in and out of the cartoons a lot, and, I just there's every time I hear he's coming, he was my favorite part of Bad Batch. All 3 seasons, anytime Rex was in there, it made me happy. And I love him so much, and I want more of him.
I do. I agree with you on that one. Rex is so damn badass, dude. He's another guy he's loyal to the Republic, to his friends, and clones are more than just a number. I mean, and they are, and we see this throughout. The clones are individuals, yeah, they're all clones of each other, but they all have different names, they have different personalities, they have all sorts of things, and Rex is a leader of men, and
He
his
dyed his
stories
hair like Eminem in 1999.
his story's not done yet. And I would love to see some more of Rex, especially if we're playing with Thrawn and crew. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I
Maybe
was
we
really
will.
hoping we'd see him in Ahsoka.
Yeah, I was too. But my next one is Obi-Wan Kenobi, man. I have to put Obi-Wan in the top 5.
That's fair.
Obi-Wan, again, he is the ultimate Jedi, right? He knew what Anakin wasn't slick. He knew what Anakin, but at the same time, he had his thing with Satine, so he understood. He came at Anakin with love and compassion, and he was a brother and a father to Anakin. And I just wish
Pretty
that
sure he's
Anakin
a father to Satine's son.
definitely, oh, definitely, like, yeah, I think so too, and I want that confirmed as well. That's
I don't
another
feel
Star
like
Wars
that's
conspiracy theory
yeah.
that I need confirmed. But
It's just that
like,
why would they give her a son if not for that reason? It's kinda like Dean in Supernatural with Ben. Like, what the hell is
always
that
that
about?
was his, yeah, dude, yeah, oh yeah,
Oh, it'd
oh
be
yeah.
inconvenient for him to have a son. We're just gonna play with it.
We're just gonna jokey joke, but come on, dude. Come on. Really? Really? But I mean, Obi-Wan right from the
Maury
get-go,
Povich
Phantom
Manipula.
Menace, like he was very loyal to Qui-Gon. And you see we got the old man Kenobi-ish with Princess Leia, which was just so beautiful. And his talk to again, like the most heartbreaking sequences of you're my brother Anakin, I loved you, and then he gets to say he's sorry to Anakin in that moment in Kenobi where he's just basically like, dude, I did, like, I failed you. I did this. I am sorry. I could have ended this. I could have killed you and put you out of your misery instead of this is what you are now today. And it's just like
Vader
he's
lets him off the hook.
I hate that he dies how he does. Like that death just never sat right. I get it. It's just the cheesiness, cheapness of it all to let Luke live and everything like that. I just wish that's oh yeah, but that's
It
neither
could
here
have been
nor
a
there.
better moment. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think if it was done today, it would be a better moment, but I also
Yeah.
don't
Oh
know
yeah.
that they knew how big a character
They
Obi-Wan
had no
Kenobi
idea.
was
And
to
Alec Guinness
them.
even shit all over Star Wars when they were making it. But you also get like that beautiful moment on the Tatooine desert where Maul shows up and Obi-Wan shows some
Yeah.
compassion and he kills Maul finally. And he basically tells Maul that, yeah, this kid is, he's him. This kid is him. And he watched over and put himself living and hiding. And his speech, it's just, dude, it's just amazing. You know, Obi-Wan just captures it, what it means to be a Jedi and a friend. And I just wish that Anakin was he would have let Anakin know, like, "Hey, dude, I know what's up.
I feel
Let
like
me
he
help you."
kinda did in
He
the
he
Clone
did, he
Wars.
did, but Anakin, like, wouldn't outright tell him, and I just wish that they coulda had that conversation because Obi-Wan would have helped him. Anakin coulda
Did
left
you
the
see
Jedi Order, like,
did you see the Cinco de Mayo meme where it
no.
was like, "You turned her against me," and it's supposed to be like, "You did that to yourself," and then it like, or no, Padme's getting mad at him on Mustafar, and he's like, "It's because of him," and he sees Obi-Wan, and then it cuts to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan has a sombrero on and, like,
Oh god,
balloons and stuff because it was Cinco de Mayo.
ridiculous.
That was funny.
Yeah. But going back to somebody more overrated in my opinion, man, I'm gonna throw out a hot take. I got 3 hot takes coming up. 3
Oh,
hot takes on my
great. I like
overrated
hot
list.
takes.
I'm gonna start with Mace Windu.
I'm okay with that.
I'm start with
So
Mace.
we're gonna wrap up with a couple people gave us their favorites and their least favorites are overrated. So we will talk about that because somebody actually might have been Geek Peak put Mace Windu as their favorite. I think he was always kind of a little too hard on some people and
Mace
kinda led to
Windu,
them going down the dark side.
he had everything. He had it coming to him this whole time. The way he
A little
treats
bit.
people, the way he ignored, he he's just as much as at fault as my next person who I will get to after in a few. But like Mace Windu, dude, like, what does he do that's good in these movies besides cut Jango Fett's head off? Like, okay,
In
cool,
front of
great.
his son.
Yeah, aside from that, like, he calls Ahsoka citizen when she's trying to explain what's up and he just blows her off. Okay, cool. Dude, he took his sweet ass time killing Palpatine, so he let Anakin get the jump on him. Like, dude, you didn't have to walk slow. You could have killed Palpatine. You bested him in combat, you piece of shit. And he's just an asshole. He's an asshole. I don't really need to say much more. Dude sucks.
I'm okay
Fuck
with
you,
it.
Mace Windu. What do you have
I
there?
don't think that, I feel like Samuel L. Jackson intentionally played him that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hubris of the
'Cause it's like,
Jedi. It's the
that's
hubris of
not
the
his
Jedi, man.
character, and you could argue in, like, the Marvel world, you have the villains and the heroes are very clear line. He doesn't
Oh,
act like
sure.
that as Nick Fury. He does, he's almost acting like it's Pulp Fiction character.
Yes.
When he should.
Say power, unlimited power one more time, motherfucker. I dare you. I triple dog dare you. Say ultimate power one more time.
One, obviously he chose the purple lightsaber because he wanted to be able to be seen, and
Which
I've
I
seen
love
the
the purple
interview.
lightsaber.
Right, and I've seen the interview with George Lucas and him wanting to pick him, and George Lucas is like, "No, it's gotta be green or blue or whatever," and he picks the purple, and but that's gone on to be like, that's really close to red. Just
Yeah.
saying, you mix blue and red and you
He
get
has that
purple.
vapid style fighting, which is very close to the dark side. So, but who
Dun,
is
dun,
your
dun.
next choice?
General Hux.
Okay, I'm
He's
listening.
he's a little bitch.
I mean,
He
fair.
turns on Kylo solely because he turned into a chicken shit. This kid obviously grew up in being groomed for this.
The rich kid who had all the power.
Yes, that is exactly what he is. He's a
Every
rich
nepo
kid.
baby on the conservative side of the politics.
100%.
It's Barron Trump's future.
Oh, poor Barron Trump. But he just like the little bitchiness was in him all along. I mean, kudos to the actor for making me hate him so much.
Domhnall
But
Gleeson is awesome. Yeah.
yeah, he did a fantastic job in it. And obviously you have to see him in Rise of the Resistance every time. But he just it was, obviously by the time he turned on Kylo, you wanted him to turn on Kylo, but it was like, you're doing this solely for yourself. You're not doing this to join the
There was no
rebellion because
goodness
you
in his heart.
realize the
No.
oppression of the Empire and or the new
He was
Republic,
jealous. Yeah.
the
He was
First
like a
Order.
jealous,
Yeah,
like, not fair.
right. Yeah, it was like it's straight out of like the SNL skit where like Kylo Ren goes undercover. It's like I don't know.
I will
So
say
he
one
just
thing, like,
you summed it up perfectly. He was a pedo rich baby
well,
growing
I
up. Yeah.
thought I thought like something very of nepo, not pedo, but
Did I say pedo?
you said pedo.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I meant nepo.
I will say
I'm
though,
glad you caught that.
he started off like Force Awakens when he gave that speech. I was like, oh, this guy is Space Hitler. Oh, and then like, I'm the spy. You're like, oh, okay.
But I was
All
glad
right.
when Kylo killed him. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
thought that
was too.
that
I
made
felt
sense. If he had gotten to the rebellion, I would have been like, eh.
lame. Yeah, I do like Domhnall Gleeson. And I thought there was so much hope. There was so much hope just to be like, just kidding. Yeah, no, I can get down with that. I can get down with that. You already know my number 2, by the way, for beloved Star Wars. So why don't you give us your number 2 now?
My number two, so I had to pick one old school, one OG, and Obi-Wan Kenobi is a fantastic one, but I went with Princess Leia.
Oh, that's a
Uh,
good choice. Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, you also have to take into account when her character showed up, 1977,
Yeah.
and she's not a cliche female character in the movie. And I want to say that was George Lucas's writing, but I also feel like it was because he cast Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
So Carrie Fisher in her own right is just badass. And she, yes, there are times she needs to be rescued, but she needs to be rescued because she's putting herself into situations that are huge risks. And as soon as she starts to get rescued, she's back in the game right away. She's strangling Jabba the Hutt. She's shooting at the stormtroopers.
God, in that
Um,
sexy ass outfit of hers.
and oh well, I mean, and the poor woman needed a bra though. Come on, they're on bras in space now.
She did not.
Uh, but she's incredibly intelligent too, and I
Yeah.
love that they made the guys are actually more emotional than her. Like even Han, like there was a little hissy fit on Endor. Well, if you like Luke, you should just be with him.
She's just like, bro, what's your problem?
But she doesn't even like pay him any mind. She's like, "That's my brother," and it's just move along.
Yeah, how stupid do
And
you feel after that fight? Like, dude, that's my
right.
brother. Oh.
Well,
Well,
that's
what are you doing tonight?
and that's actually the night they made Kylo. Because if you
Exactly.
read the books,
Han was like, dude, I'm
Aftermath.
so not pulling out tonight now.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, in the Aftermath books, it basically I think says that she gets pregnant on Endor. So they
There's
really
no Force
celebrated.
condoms here.
Yeah. Well, poor Han doesn't have the Force. He couldn't pull out quick
That's
enough.
true. That's true.
But I also thought that they did a fantastic job casting the younger version of Leia. I
Yeah.
loved her, the little one in Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think Carrie Fisher would have absolutely loved her. I love that she's this badass little 10-year-old, and we thought we were going to get a Luke story. And she's a badass older woman too. And she's still
Oh, yeah.
like commanding respect. And still she doesn't even put up with Poe's bullshit.
At
Like she
all.
handles it gracefully. She handles it as, a leader. And she just even, with everything that happened with Kylo and like she just handled it all like a champ.
That's fair. No, I would agree with that. If I put Padme only because she was the original, like her mom. So I put that, but Leia would have been very much another like top 10 character for me because of those reasons that you said. Now, let's go into My number 2 most overrated character.
Wait, did you do your number 3?
Yeah, my number 2 most loved was Ahsoka.
Oh, that's right.
So my number 2 most overrated is actually Yoda, because Yoda was another person whose hubris led to the fall of the Jedi Order. My man's got too full of himself.
He should have known.
He bitched out so bad against Palpatine. He was a bitch, dude. That motherfucker could have beat Palpatine. He gave up. And it's his fault that Palpatine still continued on. It's his fault.
Do you think it's his age or his species that, like, whenever Grogu, or like with Grogu, I thought, okay, he's young, he hasn't trained. Now that he's trained, he doesn't need as many naps. So, but then you look at Yoda, and obviously he's very old, and he's walking with a stick and limping, and then he's like, whoa, and he like flings around and can beat anybody. So is that species just like store their energy for these moments, or is it because one's old and one's young?
He's got a good 30 seconds in him.
Yeah. And then they have to
sometimes. Take a nap. A lot of guys out there are like, hey man, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, jeez.
But like, no, man, fuck Yoda, dude. Yoda, fuck you, Yoda. You could have beaten Dooku and you could have beaten Palpatine, and instead you were bitched out both times. So fuck you, all right? Not to get all not, R-rated
your mom
on this, but fuck you, Yoda. Fuck you.
Yikes.
Anyways.
I didn't know this was going to be such an emotional episode.
I repent. It's Star Wars. Come on.
Only the women are level-headed in Star Wars.
Now, which random character from that one episode of Star Wars Clone Wars did you feel passionate about?
For my least favorite?
For number 2. It's your number 2.
Or is it your Krell.
Who?
I'm sorry, I need a minute.
They served fruit at the markets of Tatooine that one time in that one episode, and they looked at Grogu really fucking angry, and I hate their guts. I'm over here like, yeah, Yoda, it's all his fault. The Empire fell, and you're like, yeah, I just really hate extra number 3. And during the pod race scene, they weren't cheering hard enough for Anakin. All right, Sebulba almost won.
Now I'm crying. Pong Krell. Remember, he was this.
What?
I didn't know you were going to call me out so hard before I even said the character. Okay, I can't read my notes now because I'm crying.
Pong Krell? Who the fuck is that?
He's the guy that looks like the Munster from Munsters University with the mustache, the older guy who's in the fraternity. So, okay, I'll text you a picture. This is the D-bag. He was an alien Jedi who saw shit about to go down, and he ended up siding with the New Republic.
Oh!
But he was so discriminatory against the clones.
He was the dude with the 4 arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, see, now this... Okay, I take back everything I said. No,
okay.
Fuck that guy. Yes, 100% fuck that guy. He was doing more than mean-mugging people. He was killing clones and became a dark side person. Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, he was a jerk. So his species is Basilic. He did look like the guy from Munsters University. I think I'm going to post a side by side.
I know. Yes, you should. Yes.
So in Clone Wars, he has a character in Clone Wars. He temporarily replaces Anakin as the commanding officer of the 501 First. If you're not familiar with that, that is the clone troopers that like Rex led and everything. Those are our main clone troopers. Yep. He sought to undermine the Republic's efforts to occupy the Separatist planet, believing that his actions in doing this would actually lead to him being able to work under Dooku. He was a complete dick to the clones. He only saw them as weapons and not people. Basically, the 501 First got together and they basically fought him. They're like, dude, no, we're done with it. Yeah. So Rex actually ends up saying like, okay, you're going to be killed for treason. And then Dogma basically
prisoner
took it on his own and just straight up shot him. So rest in peace, asshat. In a show called Clone Wars, where there's all these clones and they're very much so humanizing these clones. And then they drop this guy in here and he's just a piece of shit. I thought was amazing. And this is actually a quote I got off of Wikipedia. Because I wanted to get like the facts, like his species and whatnot. And I loved this because this just sums up the scene so much. If you haven't seen it, you should hate him from just this scene. So Rex said to him, quote, "Your reputation precedes you, General. It is an honor to be serving you," end quote. And this guy responds, quote, "I find it very interesting, Captain, that you are able to recognize the value of honor for a clone," end quote. You don't disrespect Captain Rex.
I love that you're like going for your most hated, and I'm like, yeah, this guy's overrated. This guy's overrated. And you're just like, fuck this guy so hard. And I'm like, okay.
I don't know. When I just started to do my research, I was like, these are the people that just rub me the wrong way.
That's fair. All right.
But I mean, that's
I
story. Like, we
agree
weren't
though. Like,
supposed
this
to
guy
like him.
sucks. Yeah. No, he sucked.
I started to think about the times where I was like, oh, I hate this person.
Well, on a brighter note, my number one favorite Star Wars character of all time. Drum roll, please. I said drum roll. Yeah, see, there we go. We did it. Darth Vader, man. I love Darth Vader so much. He is just a villain. He is power. He is beauty. He is grace.
He'll punch you in the face.
I would have killed an entire daycare for Padme as well, especially if she was in that white suit. I would have slaughtered every daycare in the country, every Jedi, everybody, just for Padme. Now, hands down, I get you. I feel you, bro. I feel you. But yeah, dude, fucking Vader's his story is so tragic. Like, he is such a tragic, like, he was played a fool by Palpatine, who just used
mental
him.
health issues, man.
Yeah, and then this dude is just
Abandonment
filled with
issues.
rage in the comic.
Never met his
like,
father.
he has some of the most badass his mom died on Tatooine. He held her in his arms after, finding her finally. Padme dies. His whole life is surrounded by death and despair. He was a slave. And then, of course, we get these sequences where he's just like, I'm just surrounded by fear and dead men, and Vader down, and he's cutting his range of power, and then Palpatine's always fucking with him, and then he finally does the right thing and tosses Palpatine down, and that should have been the end of Palpatine, but we all know that, we just can never come up with anything original. And so Vader is my number one, man. I could gush about Darth Vader all day, but I want to hear who your number one is.
Bo-Katan.
Oh, I did not see that coming. Okay. All right.
So I feel like she is not just my favorite. She's also, I feel like, very underrated. I don't think she gets enough credit for her journey, because when we first see her is in Clone Wars. She's practically a teenager. And keep in mind, she was raised as a princess, but she's trying to do the right thing. Like, she doesn't join Death Watch to see her people fall. She joins them because she thinks it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And when she realizes it's not, she stops, she switches, she regrets it, and she tries to do the right thing. She grows up, and she even helps free Obi-Wan. So she's like, okay, I see what's going on. This isn't okay. And she switches it. I think Mandalore was destined to fall no matter what, because they were trying to remain neutral. And, we did a whole episode on that last year, if you want to know more about the fall of Mandalore and all that. But she does become the Lady of House Kryze and the Regent of Mandalore. But she lost the title because she refused to bend the knee to Palpatine. So again, she stood up for herself. That's a badass move. She gave up.
So many badass women in Star Wars, man.
I know, there really are. I guess, yeah.
I didn't really think about that too much until now, but I'm like, man, there are some badass women in Star Wars.
But that means also, if you're not thinking about it, like, it's all been natural, and these characters have just naturally evolved. And I think that's
another really good point. Yeah.
But she's respectful of culture and religion, but not crazy. She takes her helmet off, but she respects that other people don't. And she respects, like, the history of Mandalore, and she still knows all of it. But she also knows that when she recited the Mandalore thing, when, they're doing the waters of all of it, she knew it was all for show. Like, she understands the difference between reality and just, oh, I'm a princess and I have to do this, and that makes everybody happy. And she has some amazing fight scenes. She is one of my favorite people to watch fight. Because the way she uses that jetpack to fight, like, whether it's cartoon or in Mando, like in season 3 Mando, she had some fantastic fight scenes.
Oh yeah.
And like, she just takes that, like, she'll just be doing something, and all of a sudden it's just so graceful the way she just flies up. And she's amazing with that. And her helmet is so pretty. I love her helmet. And I extra love that her cartoon looks the same as her actor, because it is her and it sounds the same. And so I know that you can't do that with everybody, obviously, because they're not making all the characters look like each other, but it provides a level of consistency. Like, when I saw Ryder the guy who voiced him, played him, I felt like that helped it better to mesh together with the cartoons with the reality. So I feel like that draws a clearer line. True. And, look at Din Djarin even pledged his loyalty to her because he saw that. And I don't just think it's because he wants to knock helmets with her.
I don't think so either.
I do think that too. I think both. But again, like, the last few episodes, we've been talking about these hot, badass couples, man.
Power couples of Star Wars, man. There's something about them. I love it. Star Wars is a love story just as much as it's a tragic story. So
it's true.
I do
have an Admiral mention, but Admiral
I
mention.
Do have
that was a pun.
Admiral Akbar mention, if you will, folks.
Nope.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw my number one most overrated Star Wars character out here, and it is Luke Skywalker. Now, this was before
Ooh.
Doug even said it on our Facebook page. He was like, "I'm gonna get hated. It's Luke." I agree with you, man. I think Luke is a whiny little bitch in Episode
He
4.
is a whiny little bitch in Episode 4. That was one of the reasons I didn't like Star Wars at first.
He doesn't finish his training, and that leads to some buffoonery. And then he kind of shows some badass parts in Episode 6, but then he I will not fight you, throws his lightsaber away. Bro, I'm cutting the Emperor down. Fuck that. And then just to save your father, I get that. Listen, Luke, I get it. You got daddy issues. You never really had a dad. I get that. But then Luke dies because he's fucking tired in the last. No, ain't
Because
no
he
way.
force projected himself.
He force projects and he dies from being
like
too tired. No, come on. Just for that alone, you're overrated. That's such a no.
Maybe he'll somehow return.
To me, he's overrated. And that's my number one. Who's your number one?
So my number one, Arianda Price.
Sure.
You first meet her in Rebels. She's the one with the really short hair that works for Thrawn, and she dies at the very end of Rebels. And Ryder Azadi tries to rescue her, get out of this ship before Sabine totally blows it to smithereens, and she's like, "Ah, long live the Empire." So I hated her in Rebels. However, in the Thrawn books, it made me hate her even more because she grew up on Lothal to incredibly nice parents who had a local mining business called Price Mining.
Dorothy Mantooth was a saint.
The Empire basically fucked them over, and she ends up getting dicked over in the book early on, and then she throws a friend under the bus because she finds out she's part of the rebellion, and she just goes full Empire, and it doesn't make sense. So I hated her to begin with, and then that just made it worse because I feel like her alliances to the Empire were just wanting power for herself. She was just going to throw anybody under the bus to move up in the ranks. But at the end of the day, she literally died to move up in the ranks. Well, at one point, she tortures Sabine, and Sabine fought back and escaped. This was when she was with Wedge Antilles, and they escaped with the help of Kallus, which actually Kallus, I didn't mention before, that was the guy with the mutton chops whose name we keep forgetting.
Yes.
So we see Kallus make this turn and see oh, this isn't really good. I don't want to do this anymore, especially after his encounter with Zeb. Arianda Price never gets this. She genuinely enjoys torturing people.
She's a shitty human being.
But at least she did die. So
that's fair. Her. Well, who's your honorable mention?
My honorable mention is Thrawn.
Oh.
So I've already, expressed why I love him so much. But see, he's an honorable mention.
Oh, he's on your honorable mention for love or dislike?
Love. Okay. I don't have an honorable mention.
I was going to say, what is your... Okay. But
No. I love him. But he's an honorable mention because I love him mainly for the books, not for the shows. I do love, though, that we do see in the shows he loves art. He's not very egotistical. They do show that he's very intelligent, but they go so much deeper into it in the books. And he teaches the people under him, whereas in the Empire, you never see people teaching the next generation or whatever. You see them belittling them and threatening them. And Thrawn doesn't do that. He will literally ask questions, and in the book, people will be like, "Why are you even Vader? Yeah. Why are you asking them that?" They're learning. He's, making them think it through themselves so that they better understand the situation that he already figured out 5 steps ago. And he's just, he's a fantastic character. I was disappointed with him in Ahsoka but I also had very, very, very high expectations for him.
That's fair. He came on kind of late, so I feel like next season they're probably we'll get more out of it, I think.
There was so much too. I thought by then he would have created an alliance with Ezra. It's what the fuck was he doing the last few years? Just eating potato chips and watching TV?
Pretty much.
I don't understand.
He was just chilling, man. He was just vibes. He was on vacation for the first time in how many years?
I did like his little cameo in Tales of the Empire, though, and I believe he even makes a mention because in the books, he's known for not saving people. He doesn't want people to die. He tries to decrease casualties as much as possible. And I believe he makes a mention of how the Empire does not do that in Tales of the Empire.
Right.
But that's my honorable mention.
That's fair. Well, let's go to some of our, write-ins, if you will. So Chris from the Geek Peak did say his favorites were Revan, Mace Windu, Ahsoka, Darth Bane, and Obi-Wan. And now his overrated, he has Luke Skywalker, Grogu, the Grand Inquisitor, Yoda, and Ezra. Actually, I would love to talk to Chris.
Surprised at Ezra.
I was kind of surprised for a couple of those. Yeah. Now, Ken from the ODPH podcast said overrated Jar Jar, Jar Jar, Jar Jar, Jar Jar, Jar Jar. And then his most loved was Boba Fett, Vader, Lando, Cad Bane, and Fennec Shand, which I actually like that. That's a good list. It's a different list than what we're kind of used to. And then also when we go throw it over to the Facebook group there, shout out the Facebook group, Andrew said Yoda. He thinks he's very overrated. Jerry has always said that his bin love has drawn to Plo Koon because his race seems very unique. He stands out from the other Jedi. His aesthetic is very, and then his overrated, he has to say Boba Fett. Yes, he does. He kind of went out sucky too. Like he blows up in a
they Jedi all did in that quick. They just killed all the those Jedi just too fast.
Yeah. Shout out to our boy Scott. I love Scott. Anytime Scott puts input in, I'm so fucking excited because he says, can we delete Jar Jar or do we have to wait for the dark side version beforehand? And then Tim, here's your Stanley Tim cameo. He says that we're already besmirking the Jedi Council in the comments. I'm sure my top 5 most loved will be your top 5 most overrated. So I can't wait to see what Tim's thoughts are. And then Geeks and Beer, she said Ahsoka's the best. Gibson James Putt says Zeb's the best. Beer's a trap on Instagram. Admiral Akbar. Stacy says Padme. Our friend Maynard Brewer says Num, which actually it's Lando's co-pilot. Without Num, the second Death Star wouldn't have been destroyed. Absolutely agree with that. And then as far as the overrated, Gibson says Cara Dune. Yeah, I'm not even touching that one because the actress is so shitty. Stacy says Cyril Karn from Andor. Yeah,
I agree with this. He was the guy that had a weird relationship with his mom.
Yeah,
you start to feel bad for him, but he's still a dick.
Absolutely. And then Geeks and Beer, she says Rey. That's kind of a hot take too. Very interested on that one. But do you have any final thoughts before we go ahead and wrap up this edition of Star Wars Week?
No, I think we did really good because I also think that some of the characters we named had bigger influence than we realized. Yeah. I think we summed it up well. I think if Thrawn had more influence, the Empire, I think, could have lasted a lot longer. But, honestly, they diverted that TIE fighter money to the Death Star.
Other things, yes. Project Stardust, if you will, which if you haven't listened to our Tales of the Empire Cantina episode, go listen to that where we kind of talk about our thoughts on that. But yeah, man, this has been episode 2 of Star Wars Week. Star Wars Month is still rolling on. What are we doing next week, Lauren?
We might be talking kyber crystals, but I'm not certain yet. We'll be doing something Star Wars.
Yes, we reached it out. Our friends Crafted Cores are looking to come on the episode. If you don't know Crafted Cores, man, they make kyber crystals for your Savvy's lightsaber that I have right here. Of course, yes, they make the kyber crystals that go in your little lightsabers that you're able to build. Go ahead. Check them out. They do a lot of really cool, great things, and they might become on the show. If not, we're probably going to be talking some kyber crystals, worst case. So all you can do is like, subscribe, share, as always, to the podcast. Thanks for hanging out. Let us know who your top 5 maybe overrated, most hated characters are, who you love in the Star Wars. Let us know if we've messed anything up, and if you want to just make your voice heard. Thanks, as always, for listening. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.